Cracka Wines, and today we've got a special guest with Tamra from Yealands Estates in sunny Marlborough. And it is particularly sunny this time of year in Marlborough. I was there only quite recently, and I can definitely vouch for that. So Yealands is probably best known, if anything else, for really pioneering or not pioneering, but really pushing the Awatere Valley, which is a lovely little sub-region in Marlborough, which is sort of known as quite a new part of Marlborough, if anything else. And yeah, it has a lot of potential, particularly for really beautiful aromatic dry wines. Mm-hmm. Would you sort of agree with that?
Absolutely. You know, definitely cooler sub-region of Marlborough.
Absolutely.
But especially with the Sauvignons and the aromatic whites, and now Pinot really coming to the forefront. It's a really good region for that.
Absolutely. So I guess here in Australia we see Marlborough almost as a massive brand. You know, we really don't think that much about sub-regional focus. You know, and it's something that we really like to see more of, to actually sit there and think about more behind what makes different parts of Marlborough tick. Because the Awatere really is it's quite a unique sort of unique sub-region with a unique sort of terroir. And yeah, obviously you really made a big point of pushing that sub-regionality in all these wines. And the other thing about Yealands is that you have a massive big green focus, if anything else. So obviously you're carbon neutral?
Yes, we are. We've been certified for about 2 years now, so we have to measure and offset all of our emissions. Okay. It's a big focus of our owner, Peter Yealands, big philosophy of his.
Yeah, okay. And I suppose it's something that's more and more apparent, particularly in the overseas markets, about people are sort of saying, hey, we want to know more about exactly where everything's coming from, the provenance, as well as the green credentials. I imagine particularly in Europe, it's something that you've noticed that it has a lot of cred. I mean, and it's something you see more of in Australia, but it's definitely in the UK market in particular, it's something that everyone really wants to know about. Do you sort of see the same?
Absolutely. Look, I've just been in Europe for 10 weeks actually.
Yeah.
With the wines, doing a lot of promotional work with our distributors there, and yeah, more and more I'm seeing you know, the significance of sustainability, but also, you know, there's a lot of talk about organics and biodynamics and natural wines, whatever they may be. It's a big discussion on that.
It's a moving target, I know, it's exactly right.
No, it's a lot more interest, and you know, each year more and more I'm seeing, which is great for us. Great.
It does mean more paperwork though.
Exactly. More paperwork.
So we've actually got 3 wines here today. So we've got the Sauvignon Blanc, we've got a Pinot Rosé and a Pinot Noir. And so starting off with the first one, this is the Estate Sauvignon Blanc. So tell us just about this wine.
So 2011 vintage, so just been released.
Yep.
And our estate wines, Andrew, they are single block wines coming from our vineyard in the Awatere Valley, Seaview vineyard that we have, which is coastal, but also going up into some high areas, undulating land, so lots of different little microclimates within the vineyard. So it really wants to, this wine has to be the best expression coming from our vineyard. So some more black currants and some ripe herbal spectrum.
Yeah, definitely.
Lots of minerality.
They're really distinctive, actually. That's one thing I really like about the Awatere Savies, is that they are really, as far as a Marlborough Savvy, they're really quite distinctive. They have a real varietal character to it that you're just like, hey, bang, straight off, they smell exactly like where they came from. And I think that's what you're really picking up in this wine. It's really quite a distinctive Savvy. You're just like, hey, this is real Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc. Now, one thing, Awatere or Awatere, see, I've always, as an Australian, obviously we're quite crap at this sort of pronunciation, so you can probably, is it Awatere, am I right?
Yeah, Awatere.
Awatere, okay, there's an extra E in there and I'm clearly missing out.
It's funny, like even in New Zealand, some people say Awatere, some people say Awatere. It's, you know, anything goes.
I know, exactly right. As Australians, we probably just shorten it, probably just called Awa or something like that. All right, well, let's try into the Pinot Rosé. Now, we're actually smack bang here in the middle of the the Rosé revolution, which is a big push towards more and more savoury styles of rosé. And I think that it's wines like good Pinot Rosé which are really sort of pushing that forward by showing that you can have texture and you can have a little bit more than just simple fruits in a rosé. And is that something you sort of look for in rosés as well?
Absolutely. Look, this is the first year we've made a rosé.
Oh, really?
And yeah, 2000.
Rosé so hot right now.
So hot.
Yep.
And I made a lot of rosé in Europe, and I loved making it. So I was really excited talking with the sales and marketing team when we decided, look, we're going to make a rosé from this vintage. And we had some beautiful first-year Pinot fruit off our vineyard. And this is the exact style that I wanted to make.
Okay.
Drier, definitely more Provence in style, but with texture, crunchy red fruit, acidity. It's a great style.
Yeah, and would you look to making a really crazy, freaky, natural rosé? You know, something that's a little bit cloudy, a little bit out there, barrel ferments. Do you think there's actually a market for that? Or maybe that's just me. I just like that sort of styles of rosé.
Yeah.
But I reckon rosé is really getting bigger and bigger in Australia as more and more people realise that, particularly in a warm Australian summer, that rosé is just the ultimate drinking wine.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, lunch in the sun.
Lunch, yes,
out on the deck,
calamari, seafood.
Seafood, absolutely.
Knock back a bottle of
With all the
that. It's very
cuisine.
easy.
Yeah.
So this being your first release, you haven't really. I mean, it's really only just come out, so you haven't really seen how it's gone. But
No, exactly. I mean, I've been last week in Melbourne and Adelaide,
Yeah.
and also in Queensland this week, Sydney. And
oh,
it's
Queenslanders,
really
they love
cool.
rosé.
They love their
They
rosé.
dig rosé.
Might be a bit dry for the Queenslanders, though.
Sorry, Queenslanders, I don't mean that. No, it's true. And actually, if anything in Australia is going to be best suited to rosé, it's going to be Queensland for sure.
Yeah,
Just super
definitely.
refreshing, just straight down. It's
That's
really,
right.
really very easy.
Suits the climate. But there's been some good interest. We've had great interest in the wine, and we've got a few listings now. So, you know, we're looking now in Sydney to get a few more this week. So hopefully, we'll see it moving.
We'll see if people get on the Rosé Revolution train. Cool. Okay, so we'll just go on to the Pinot last. So, having again, just be dropping again that I've just come back from Marlborough, lucky me. And I think that the Pinots in Marlborough looked better than I've ever seen them before. I didn't really expect to see that Marlborough Pinot would actually start to get really serious. I mean, you always imagine Marlborough Pinot as being quite juicy and quite easy and fragrant sort of wines, but this time around I was just like, wow, people are actually starting to take Marlborough Pinot really seriously.
Yeah.
Have you sort of seen the same sort of thing?
I think with Marlborough, there's a lot of different styles of Pinot.
Yeah.
You know, comparing to the other regions like Central Otago and Martinborough, which tend to have their own styles,
Yeah.
you can kind of know what you're sort of going to get from those wines. But Marlborough, you can get the bigger, spicier, richer styles right through the spectrum to the lighter, fleshy red fruit.
Absolutely.
I think that's great, the diversity that we have. And also when you delve into the different sub-regions, I mean, I'm sure that
exactly
you can see
right.
that with the Pinots.
Yeah,
you know.
very much so. And so what do you sort of see as the Awatere, okay, anyway, style of Pinot? What do you sort of imagine is the sort of the Pinot style that you see off your sort of Pinot blocks?
This is the first year that we've released a single block Pinot
Okay.
under our estate range. Look, we're still learning a lot about Pinot from our vineyard, and the vines, they are starting to get a little bit more age now, but they're relatively young. So each year, I've had a lot of different flavours coming through.
Absolutely.
And of course, each vintage will throw in, different wines and flavours anyhow. But look, I'm quite excited about the Pinot that we're getting off our property. In particular, this block that I have in the 2011 vintage, sitting in barrel now, is stunning. So each year just getting more concentration and, lovely, more sort of richer, darker fruit, spice, but beautiful texture and also minerality, which we see through our whites, which really gives the wines a good backbone.
And come back to, do you think that something comes down to what you've got as far as it's always a slightly cooler and drier climate being Awatere. You think you see more of that minerality as a result?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Throughout all the varieties, year in, year out, that's what we see, and I love it, I embrace it, beautiful mineral acidity.
Yeah.
Especially the blocks that we have, which are sort of right by the coastline.
Yeah, of course. Because you get a little bit of much more of the real concentrated maritime influence as well.
Absolutely, and almost like a salty minerality.
Yeah, that's
coming
great.
through
I
the
love
finish
that
of the
salty
wines,
minerality, actually.
I like that too.
Yeah, very much so. And so for one final question, what do you actually drink at home?
What do I drink at home?
Well, this is something I always like asking people, because winemakers give all sorts of quite unusual answers. I mean, you're allowed to say, obviously you drink your own wines naturally.
I only drink my own wines.
Of course. But besides that, what do you guys drink at home?
Do you know what? What I love to drink and what I love are wines, unfortunately, that I don't make at the moment. So Chardonnay and Cabernet.
Okay, Chardonnay and Cabernet, yep.
Chardonnay, beautiful, all different styles of Chardonnay from all over the world. But look, I'm really getting into Pinot since coming back from Europe and working with Yealands and kind of getting our Pinot Noir program set up. I'm actually taking home 3 Pinots with me from Victoria that I've
very good. Which ones did you
come
go
across
for?
On my travels. I've got Epis.
Ah, yes, Domaine
not
Epis, yes.
tasted,
Nice,
but
nice.
I'm looking forward to
Nice
trying
wine.
that.
I always like that.
And I've got a Bannockburn, like an old vintage of theirs.
Nice,
Pinot.
yes.
And I've also got the guys in Beechworth, but it's a Yarra Vineyard, Gioconda.
Ah, yes.
So just,
yes.
you know.
A couple of classics there, very
Yeah.
much so.
So
you're taking,
looking forward to-
you come to Australia, you're actually taking Australian Pinot back to New Zealand. Like, you know, they'll just probably just like sacrifice you at the border. They'll be like, she's bringing Australian wines back, Australian Pinot back here. That's crazy talk.
We have to benchmark, and
that's
still,
okay.
You know, we're still learning, and it's great to try different styles from different areas and embrace it. Yeah.
Very cool, very cool. Well, thank you very much, Tamra.
Thank you.
And
Andrew.
thanks for bringing us these lovely wines to try.
You're welcome.
Cheers.
Cracka!